Hi, everybody. It's Tim Constantine from the Washington Times, joined by my good friend David Bozell for America. Hi, David.
Tim, how are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you. You know, I don't know if you remember, there was a gentleman when I was growing up who served as president of the United States by the name of Ronald Reagan. And Reagan perfected the theater of politics. They understood that to effectively deliver a message, sometimes you had to have the right backdrop. I always remember when he was meeting with Gorbachev, and it was bitter cold over there in the middle of nowhere in Iceland, and he came out in the steps just wearing a suit, looked fantastic. Gorbachev came out all bundled up and was, he was a lot smaller than Reagan, and he's bundled in all these clothes. And the power move, in the real picture, it doesn't mean anything, of course, but to the public perception, it meant everything. I'm looking at the politics, the theater of politics in the year 2025. For example, the president put a number of Venezuelan thugs, killers, gang members, on an airplane and sent them home, sent them back. These are the immigrants that he promised he would send back. We have criminals, we have the worst of the worst, and they were. And so he put them on a plane and sent them back. There are Democrat activists groups that went to court and said, well, I don't think the president did this right. And a judge actually issued a statement that wanted them to turn the airplane around, bring the killers back to the United States again.
Too late. Already in the air.
In the theater of politics, do the Democrats realize the American public does not want killer Venezuelans coming back to the United States?
A picture is worth 1,000 words, Tim. You cannot compete with the images of Venezuelan gang members being hauled off of airplanes and being dumped back into their countries or the neighbors of their countries. You just cannot compete with that politically. You can file your lawsuit. You could make a complaint from the floor of the U.S. Senate.
But why would you, Dave? Why, if you're a U.S. senator,
because they hate him,
John Tim, Public, who really wants to make that argument?
Tim, because they hate him. They hate the president. The Democrats have been spending the last couple of weeks trying to figure out why they think the country hates them. The answer is really simple. The human condition is really simple. People want to be liked. And the Democrats don't like people. They don't like a whole ton of people, especially Trump. They couldn't even muster up the energy to make a standing ovation for a kid with brain cancer, just because Trump introduced him. They couldn't even vote for the same piece of legislation. A continuing resolution is the same resolution that they voted for unanimously 3 months ago. But because Trump was going to sign it, they all wanted to vote no. They cheer when Tesla's stock falls. Not one sinister Democrat, Tim, has condemned the violence against Teslas and Tesla dealerships. Not one.
Right.
Not one. And so it's all because they hate him. And they've got, Don Lemon, most of MAGA is racist. Okay, thanks, Don. And why should I pay attention to you? And why? And so this is why their numbers have sunk like a stone. Stop hating everyone. It is a simple proposition. It's not message. Some of it's theater, and Trump does it better than anyone. The Kennedy Center bit the other day. Walking through with the red carpet and the whole thing. It's perfect. He's Mr. Fix-It. Some of it is theater that Democrats out of power can't really compete with. But it has to start with liking your fellow countrymen.
Well, the issues are providing the ultimate theater. One of the big things that pushed Trump over the victory line in 2024 was the transgender issue. The governor of Maine is a woman who's popular enough to have gotten elected twice there. She's serving her second term, but she has gotten into a squabble and is making her stand in the state of Maine. This is a tiny little rural state, geographically big state, but not a lot of people. And rural state where there's a big gay community and transgender community in Portland, Maine, the big city in Maine. But most of Maine doesn't understand this. They're just regular folks that are farmers or teachers or cops. And they're scratching their head trying to wonder why their governor is willing to sacrifice the money coming into the state education system because there are a dozen transgender people. They don't understand it. This is the theater that nobody created that, like wrote the play of that theater. But these are the choices when you say, okay, this is who we're going to fight for. And all of the students, tens of thousands of students in the university system be damned.
Right.
I don't understand the logic.
Well, the logic is purely political. I mean, if she thinks that there's a predominance of gay and transgenders in Portland, and that's where the votes are going to predominantly come from, then she thinks she's got to cater to that to stay elected. I just think the reverse is true. She could easily get herself easily elected if she catered to the clear majority of folks that don't want men spiking volleyballs on girls' heads. Okay. I mean, it's just not it's not complicated, and so if that's the political hill you want to die on, then you're going to die on it. And the Democrat Party saw that in 2024, nearly across the board. I don't think that there's any Democrat that beat a Republican in a purple race on the issue of transgender men playing women's sports. Not a one. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong. If there's a Democrat who beat a Republican in a purple race with one of their signature issues being, I want men playing women's sports.
And I want to be very clear. I'm not supporting anybody bullying. If there's somebody different, if someone chooses a different lifestyle, that's their business. We allow that in the United States of America. It's the idea that you are going to make the rest of the world cater to it. It's the idea that you are going to sacrifice billions of dollars over a course of years in a university system to make this point for a dozen transgenders. Tens of thousands, or over those years, hundreds of thousands of students will suffer. I think, gosh, no wonder they're polling at 27%. And the Democrats are polling so low, and those are CNN polls, those are CBS polls. These are places that typically are friendly to the left. So if Rasmussen or TIPP did those polls, I bet that number might even be lower.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But if you're going to waste energy blaming the president of the United States for like the horrible tragedy at Reagan Airport with the plane crash, okay, there are a number of Democrats who went on the record and said, well, this is Trump's fault. The astronauts the other day, Tim, they can't even muster up any credit for Elon Musk going up to space and rescuing these astronauts. And some Democrats were out there saying, well, I mean, it was their choice to stay up there for 9 months. Pardon me? I mean, they're on camera. They're on camera saying we can't wait for Elon to come get us. I mean, what more do you want? What reality are you living in?
They were going to Uber home last October, but they couldn't get a ride.
And no kidding. So, I mean, again, this all fueled by their hatred of the president. And now it's extended into hatred for anyone that voted for him. So, A, he's an idiot. Elon's an idiot. They don't know how to run a government. And B, everyone who voted for them are idiots and don't know what or racist or worse. And it's just gotten to a point where, okay, if you want to live in your own cocoon with your own 25% and just bitch and complain, you're just going to get ignored. And that's sort of, I think, where we are in the public conversation. When Barack Obama won consecutive terms, yes, we had all sorts of policy disagreements with him. I mean, just a multitude, right? And we fought him hard politically and through the courts and everything else. But I don't think that you could charge the right with like this vitriolic hatred of the guy. And that never came out. Even if there were segments within our body politic that really, really hated him, that didn't come out in unless the media put a spotlight on it. But it was just very small, very rare. These Democrats consistently just hate the president and hate anyone who votes for him. Well, again, back to the top. People want to be liked. So if you're not going to like us, don't be surprised if we don't like you.
Dave Bozel's advice for the Democrats: stop hating everyone. Dave, a pleasure as always, my friend. We'll see you next time.